welcome to the 9642 podcast. This is your host, Mr. NumberNine.
And this is The Fool.
Your 96 best place to listen to...
For 10 years.
Yes, for our 10th season of our mostly up-to-date...
And unqualified. And unrequested.
ramblings of the various issues in the world of sport.
Or something like that.
Hello, everyone. We are back to our bread and butter here. Football, in the Premiership in particular.
Yeah, good times.
We've just come back from the international break.
Mm-hmm.
Every team's finished their transfer windows. This is the squads till January. And boy, has it been eventful so far.
Yeah. It's been very interesting, I guess is the right word.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the table, we have our defending champions, Manchester City. 5 from 5. Is anybody surprised? Goal difference of 11 after 5 games.
No, not surprised at all.
Perfect start to the season. Hot question. Are City going to lose a Premier League game this season? Are City even going to draw a Premier League game this season?
I guess they will eventually. Because, it's very hard to go the whole season without losing. But
Or winning every game.
And winning every game is even more impossible. So, but if there's a team that could do it, it's this Man City team.
It would be 114 points. They have gotten to 100 points, over 100 points before. They've been close to perfect.
Yeah. No, I think it's feeling.
I would not bet against them. I
game.
don't think they're going to do it, but I would not bet against them.
I wouldn't bet against them either. I'm with you. Very unlikely, but it's not the bet to take for them not. In fact, it's probably worth a cheeky $5 or something on a bet like that, just because. But that said, the TAB might not be offering the best odds on that anyway, since, you never know with them.
Yeah, it'll probably be something dumb like 100 to 1. You're like, come on, man.
Yeah, let me get some decent money out of this. But no, City's been good. Scored 14 goals as well, so they are.
They're on fire.
They're on fire. That is the word for them. I only had 3 goals scored against them, won every match. It's a great start for them.
Absolutely. And next up, a team that's also doing quite well, Tottenham Hotspur under Ange Postecoglou. Gold 13 points, just the 1 draw. Similar with Liverpool and Arsenal. Very early days for all those 4 teams, but they all look like they're in form. Obviously, they've been quite impressive to me, Spurs. I think they've shown this really. Are they better without Kane? Because they've now had to invent other ways to get goals, and they're doing it.
It's pretty much it. They've had to come up with a new way of doing things, and it seems to be working for them. Maybe they were just too stuck in a mindset before, where they were just so reliant on Kane scoring the goals they didn't really think about it. And now maybe this is the turning point.
Yeah. And I think despite all the issues with squad depth and players leaving and instability at the club, Liverpool doing really, really well. 4-1, very good. Jurgen Klopp's just getting the best out of his players. I can see them continuing in this good form in the season. And Arsenal carrying on where they left off.
Yeah, exactly.
Last season. We'll see if any of these teams have the depth to follow on with City as the season progresses, but early doors, as we said.
Yeah. But definitely they're showing good signs anyway.
Yeah. We were wondering about Brighton. Now, they haven't yet had to play any European games, but
No.
they've also had a good start. 4 wins out of 5 with the one
Mhm.
loss. Um, on 12 points, just ahead of West Ham, who have 3 wins, a draw and a loss.
Yeah.
So they're also like recovering quite well from
Last year,
losing
yeah.
Rice.
Yeah, and having lost Declan Rice, as you say, so West Ham's
Yeah,
showing they've got some decent depth there. And obviously, you know, done well with the transfers and everything. So
yeah. And Aston Villa, after a bit of a shaky start, have recovered back to 3 wins in a row. I think they lost their first 2 games, and they're also on 9 points. Um, Everybody else is kind of on the 2 win, uh, uh, apart from Brentford, who have gotten 3 draws already. The team with the most, them and Bournemouth are the team with the most draws so far.
yeah,
Um, Manchester United. What can I say? My only consolation is we're not as bad as Chelsea?
only
Question
just
mark?
not as only just not as bad as Chelsea. But yes, no, I think both our teams are suffering a bit at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
There's
enough
a
of
lot of
United to
injury
know,
crisis.
but yeah,
Yeah, there's a big injury crisis at United. Say
right,
Luke Shaw got injured just before the window ended, and they needed to get in a quick fullback to uh, on loan, and then Aaron Wan-Bissaka just got injured as well. So it's I guess it's useful that Harry Maguire uh, is not left the club because they still have at least some defensive bodies, even if they're not really that many specialist fullbacks left in
yeah.
the squad.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Chelsea seem to have continued with the throw lots of players at it and hope something sticks, and we haven't really seemed to have found that stick right now for all the
Yeah,
spending and player movements. Still, I think the biggest problem appears just to be the lack of goals. 5 games, 5 goals, and 5 goals scored against as well. Like it's not really the greatest start.
absolutely, absolutely. Both teams are having issues. I think Pochettino is still getting his system
Mm,
implemented. Manchester United have had a bunch of things happen. Some of it are out of Eric Ten Hag's control, like the whole Mason Greenwood situation and the whole
yeah,
ownership saga situation, which is obviously like a bad mood at the club,
yeah, yeah.
amongst supporters and and at Old Trafford. But also like the whole Jadon Sancho situation, where it's uh, potentially a uh, is one of his is a fault of his because the uh, basically kind of threw uh, Sancho under the bus when they said that he didn't train well enough, and
I don't know.
Sancho kind of put on a message on his Twitter going, "I definitely trained hard and I didn't." Um, I think I know what he's talking about, but it's nothing to do with my work ethic and what I put in. And he pinned it on his Twitter, so he's doubled down, or his
Right,
X, as we should say.
yeah,
And it's a very complicated situation with Sancho. Like we know that he's had mental health struggles, which Ten Hag was apparently helping him with, because
well,
during the World Cup break, he took Sancho and a couple of players to Holland with him for special training sessions to help them learn his system.
all right, yeah, yeah.
And Sancho was doing interesting things like playing false nine during the preseason, where they looked. The only upside for Manchester United is probably the fact that Andre Onana looks incredible. He's been playing so well. So the change of goalkeeper has kind of been flawless. He's already broken the record for a number of passes for a United keeper, who's something like 48
That is a lot,
in the
yeah.
games. He's not tempered his style. I think the backs are sort of getting used to the game of having him pass out to them, or him creating the little diamond for so that the team becomes press proof. But the
Hmm.
issue now is getting the ball further along, where the midfielders are not quite. We don't have enough attacking midfielders after. So there's. It'll be interesting to see what Ten Hag does as the season progresses.
Yeah,
Obviously,
definitely.
it's far too early to tell what's gonna happen. And same with Chelsea. I mean,
Yeah,
for all we know, both these managers could end up getting fired before the January window if things go really bad, just so that the new manager can get some signings in. If they're gonna fire the manager this season, that is the time to do it, not after the January window, like so many
yeah,
clubs do.
I know.
Like, why are you doing this now?
Give them a
You
chance
can't
to
do anything.
actually. Yeah, they can't do anything
Uh,
now. No, I'd say I'm willing to give Chelsea a bit more time. It is a lot of new players in there. The whole team is very different to what it was even at the end of last year. So that takes time. A for new players to get up to adapt to the Premier League and adapt their game and get it working, as we all well know. And just playing in
yeah,
a new system with new players around you, that's always just going to be a little bit disruptive. So you know, good things is that Sterling's looking good, Fernandes is looking good, Jackson's looking good. Defense is somewhat coming good, though obviously, injuries there as well aren't really helping
yeah,
things. So yeah, it's just about getting all right, and there's potentially bits in there that don't seem to be really working as well as they could. I mean, against Bournemouth, they hit the woodwork twice, three times, and got Neto to give up a couple of really good saves. So that's how those days go sometimes. Other days those they don't hit the woodwork, they sneak in the corner. And you win 1 or 2-0, and it doesn't seem quite as bad. Um, so I'm willing to give them time. It's not as though
yeah,
it's completely dire. It's like it's a new manager, new system, new players. Like sometimes these things just take
yeah,
a hot minute to sort out.
yeah, exactly. And okay, there's also other obviously the it's a bit different at Manchester United. Obviously, behind the scene things are not good, and
No.
also there's the issue. I just remembered that Anthony's also not gonna play because he's got facing charges of assault in Brazil.
Oh right, yes, yeah. That doesn't help. Yeah, off-field antics at United aren't really helping there. That's say it's
Not
hard
really
to.
antics as much as potential crimes, alleged
Well,
crimes.
alleged crimes. I was giving them a slight benefit of the doubt, but yeah, alleged crimes
Yeah,
and
serious allegations.
serious allegations. But yeah,
Yeah,
and yeah, serious allegations. I guess the right ones. That that does cause disruptions and that unsettles dressing rooms and that always makes things a little bit more difficult. Um,
yeah. I mean, the other plus side is I think Rasmus Højlund looked pretty good as well as he's come on. Obviously, he's had to be subbed off in one of the
mm.
games. Um, but he's not fully fit yet. But he's slowly being integrated into the team.
I mean, also from
Yeah,
United's benefit is the losses they've had are from three of those top
yeah,
four or top five teams, right? You've lost Tottenham, you lost to Arsenal, and you just lost to Brighton. So, like, those are
yeah,
teams currently on red hot form. So you can sort of forgive that a little bit. But we've lost to West Ham, who are doing well, and Nottingham Forest. So
Yeah,
though we did manage a 1-1 draw of Liverpool on opening day. So
that's true. Then
yeah,
we looking at the bottom of the table. Unfortunately, as we predicted, Luton Town are in the bottom.
mm,
Unlike how we predicted, Burnley are down there as well.
yeah,
Vincent Company finding it tough in his first season at the Premier League. I don't know what you do as Burnley if they do get relegated. Do you keep Company? Does he have like It's like when Sean Dyche got relegated the first time with Burnley, right? And then he came back a season later, and then Burnley kind of stayed in the Premier League for ages.
yeah,
And I don't know whether that's the right play or not for them at this
yeah.
stage.
It's a bit hard to know,
Everton
really.
are in trouble, as we mentioned,
Yeah,
and Sheffield United are also in trouble. Like, there's already a relegation, not to be not to be too uh, cute, because Manchester United are not that far off the relegation thing
yeah,
either. They've only got 6 points from 5 games, but the bottom four teams all look like they're having trouble. They haven't gotten a win
mm,
yet. Three of them only have a point.
yeah.
It looks like it's going to be a long season for them.
Mm-hmm. Wolves and Bournemouth aren't. I say that's just below Chelsea. They're also like
Yeah,
Bournemouth hasn't won a game either. They've just managed to eke out the 3 draws because they're very
yeah,
good at doing that. And Wolves have just got just 1 win and 4 losses. So, but those points that those two are dragging up may be enough. uh, if they keep that during the season, it's probably enough of a trend to keep them out of that relegation fight. But as you say, Luton aren't really looking like they're even going to score a point. Uh, Burnley and Everton and Sheffield United aren't really looking like they're going to score many points either. So, it may come down to that it doesn't take a lot of points to keep out of relegation because the bottom four are going to be that bad. But we'll see because, you say, early
yeah,
early season, it's hard to say. And Burnley and Luton both, obviously Luton was meant to host Burnley second week of the season and
yeah.
wasn't able to. So there's a game there which means one of those two gets some points of some fashion to catch up on. So
Yeah, one or both.
yeah, exactly. There's points there. So either Burnley's on 2 and Luton, Everton, and United on 1, or either Burnley or Luton on 3. So
Or you mean four for
four
Burnley
for
if they
Burnley.
win.
Yes,
They'll
plus
like
3.
leapfrog to just below Chelsea if that happens.
Yeah, no, they'll rocket up the table.
They'll rocket up the table. Yeah, I mean, early doors is of course, so
Yeah.
we'll know more as the season progresses. Um, just to review the week's upcoming games.
Mm-hmm.
Most all the games are being played on Sunday and Saturday this week. Nice and simple. Um, Saturday we have Crystal Palace versus Fulham. It's a much of a muchness game at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace. Um, I feel like they're just gonna get away. Like
Yeah.
Etso has been playing really well. The team, like Roy's teams get stronger as the season progresses generally.
Yeah.
Then we have it's also the Roy Hodgson derby, right? He managed both these teams.
Oh right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like 9 and 10 on the table currently. Yeah. So it's a
Yeah.
true mid-table battle.
Uh, we have the relegation scrap between Luton and Wolves
Yeah.
at Kenilworth Road. I don't know. I feel like there's points in it for Luton in this game. I don't know if they're gonna get a draw or a win. I feel like a draw. Luton and Wolves draw at Kenilworth Road in Luton.
Yeah. I mean, this is the one. the game Wolves have to show whether they're actually part of this relegation fight or not. It's early, as we say, but either they are going to be they're better than the bottom four or they're not. So they beat Everton earlier in the season. Um, so this is the one where they show whether they can keep above it. But
Yeah,
I think you're right. I feel like at home against Wolves, Luton, this may be the one where they get a point or three. So I might
yeah,
think the same with you. A draw is on offer here.
yeah. I feel this feels like a draw written all over it. 0-0 draw.
Yeah,
Both teams trying not to lose. Manchester City versus Forest. 4-0 City.
at least. Though Forest has been
Didn't
playing reasonably well this season so far. I mean, they have got 2 wins and a draw, sitting in
That's
eighth.
true.
So,
True.
but
But it is at the
yeah,
Etihad.
it is Etihad, it is City. Yeah, it's 4-0.
Next up, we have Brentford versus Everton. I think Brentford are better than Everton, and it's at
Yeah,
home, so win
yeah,
for Brentford. Not
yes.
an easy one, but I think a win.
A win for Brentford, yeah. So I think Everton's
Um,
going to be scrapping all the way through, but yeah, this feels like a win for Brentford.
and finally, we have Burnley versus Manchester United at Turf Moor. This is like a must-win game for United. I'm sure Ten
Yeah,
Hag is telling his players this is your season. It will be after a short week because they will have played Bayern Munich
all right,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
midweek, so they might be tired. United seem to bully the smaller teams. I feel like they're just gonna get away with a win here, just like they got a 3-2 win against Forest. I can imagine them doing something similar.
I can too. As you say, it is going to be. So Ten Hag's going to lay this out, and it pretty much is a a season-defining game for United. Like they need to win it just to show yes, no. We've had some bad losses, but they're against the top, this year's top teams. We're still there. Unfortunate, but smaller teams we put away, and we'll have an easier match at some point. It's early season. You have a couple of losses against top rivals. Like that's what happens.
Yeah. Arsenal on the first game on the Sunday, Monday for us in
Mm.
New Zealand, is Arsenal versus Spurs,
Oh
North
yeah,
London derby. Oof, this game's gonna be an absolute cracker.
yeah.
Both teams are doing well.
There's
Yeah,
hardly
I
anything to
don't know. I
split the two
feel
of them.
like this
So
is a Spurs win for me.
yeah,
I'm feeling Spurs.
even at the Emirates. So I know. I think I have a strange feeling you're right, but this Tottenham is just playing so well at the moment. Um, but it's at home, and big game. Arsenal's playing well. I I may actually go Arsenal on this one.
Arsenal. Fair enough. Brighton and Hove Albion versus Bournemouth. Um, I think Brighton are gonna win this one. It's at the Amex. It's a
Yeah,
it's a South Coast derby, but Bournemouth have a bad record against Brighton from memory. So yeah, and
yeah,
this is not an Eddie Howe-led Bournemouth.
exactly. No, I'd go Brighton for this one as well. Just Brighton are playing well. They're
Yeah,
looming large. 4 wins out of five. 15 goals, so they've scored the most goals of anybody in the Premier League. Yeah, they've actually scored more goals than City, so um, they're on a high. Their attack's working well. Bournemouth have been eking out draws, but mostly at home, I think, and this is away, so yeah,
yeah.
I see this as yeah,
I think
a win for
Brighton
Brighton.
under Graham Potter had this problem where they would play really well against good teams and then underperform, like fail to put away bad teams.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think they don't do that under De Zerbi anymore. They eat bad teams
they
or
really do.
teams that are not as good as them.
Yeah,
So yeah, Next up, Chelsea versus Villa. Obviously, Chelsea have not had a good start. Villa have
No.
improved slightly since then. I think Villa kind of got things in order now in house. That
Yeah,
the manager knows how to run this team well. Unai Emery is getting the best out of his men, so I'm picking a very narrow Villa win.
I'm going to be optimistic, so I have to be optimistic, and I'm going to go with a Chelsea win. But this is sort of to me a little bit like the United game in that Chelsea have sort of got to. If they're going to turn their season around, they've sort of got to do it now. So um, this is ones they should be winning. It's at home. It's against Villa. Unfortunately for us, we haven't really been winning at home. We haven't really been winning away either. So that hasn't really made much difference. But they sort of got to get back to winning ways at home in front of the home crowd. Best place to do it. So let's go with an eked out 1-0 Chelsea win.
Yeah. Next up, we have Liverpool versus West Ham. Great upper end of the table clash at the moment. West Ham started off well, but I think Liverpool are just too good, especially
Yeah,
at home, in front of the home
yeah,
fans. I see Liverpool winning
exactly.
this one.
Liverpool easy. Yeah.
And finally, Sheffield United versus Newcastle. This was the game to see if Newcastle are going to do anything this season.
Yeah,
They need to start turning it around. Sheffield United have managed to hold up pretty well so far as the
ish. Yeah,
season progresses. Ish. Actually, they've only got 1 point.
only
Newcastle's
got
on
1 point.
six.
Yeah, Newcastle's
Yeah,
doing about as
Newcastle's
well as
gonna win.
United just. Yeah, Newcastle's good. Sheffield United. I mean, to be fair to Sheffield United, they've scored as many goals as Chelsea and one less than United. So they haven't. They have been scoring. They're just been not winning. Um, so that's a bit disappointing from them. But yeah, no, I
Yeah,
see Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle's the same, and so most of Newcastle's in a similar position to Chelsea and United. Should be doing better. They're currently in 12th, 6 points, 8 goals
yeah,
out of their 5 matches. You know, losing to Brighton, losing to Newcastle. They did play Man City and lost to them, so that's one of those things that happens. Happens to everybody. Um, but yeah, once again, just a place where Newcastle's got to they have to win. Basically, it's losing these
get their
games, and
season back on track. Yeah,
yeah, these are not the games to be losing. Even if they're going to Sheffield, these are not the games they need. They want to be serious contenders at the top end of the table. They can't be losing these games or dropping points at all.
absolutely. And now, uh, just a quick jaunt over the rest of the teams in Europe. Like it, the way it looks like it'll end up this season with coefficients is England will end up with 5 teams in the Champions League, and Italy will get 5 teams
Oh,
if things are to continue, because Italy had obviously 3 teams in the 2 teams in the semi-finals last
yeah, yeah,
year
yeah.
and one in the final. So they've jumped over La Liga. Speaking of La Liga, Real Madrid 5 out of 5. Yeah, Jude Bellingham's
Yeah.
really good, man.
Who would have thought it?
Yeah,
This is lucky he didn't go to Man City.
yeah, he's been incredible. Uh, and the team is doing really, really well. He's become a leader already at 19 years old at Real Madrid,
Oh, it's
and
crazy.
like a fan favorite. And he's basically scored in every game. Like he, if Erling Haaland wasn't sure to win the Ballon d'Or this year, it would be Jude Bellingham. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But it's early doors. Barcelona have only drawn one game,
Yeah.
and they've all and won four, and Girona are on 4-1, as
Yeah.
are Athletic Club Bilbao. So it's pretty close at the top. And then we know that once the season carries on, we'll have teams like Atletico Madrid and
Mm.
Valencia get up there as well.
I mean,
Um,
neither of them are too far off. I mean, Atletico Madrid's had a little bit of a poor start, but yeah.
yeah,
Well, and they're a game behind. They've only played 4 games, so that doesn't help their points at the moment.
absolutely. Um, the It's also a bit of an interesting thing with La Liga. Getafe obviously loaned Mason Greenwood, which was not the best thing to happen in Spain after the whole issue with their president
Yeah.
and how the FA president and how it's played out with his with the kiss at the end of the World Cup.
Yeah,
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 he's been apparently getting threats on the pitch, and
yeah, yeah.
but he's decided to continue playing football. Unfortunately, this is something he's gonna have to face, whichever club
Yes.
he goes to. He's too famous. He can't really hide from it.
No, you can't really.
The-
So
so expect to see more happening. But yeah, early doors still at uh, in La Liga. I think Real Madrid look really, really good, but obviously we can't say at that stage who's gonna win it. Next up, the Bundesliga have Neverkusen at the top of the league. Only
oh,
played 4 games so far in the
yeah,
Bundesliga. And Bayern second. Don't expect that to stay. RB Leipzig and Stuttgart, Hoffenheim and Wolfsburg all on 9 points, and Dortmund on 8. It's once again, it's only 4 games, even less than
yeah.
the
And the other two,
Serie
yeah.
A or Premier League. So very early doors. But I imagine Harry Kane is gonna make Bayern even more potent this season, and I can't imagine they're gonna get worse with
No,
him in the team.
exactly. He's already scoring goals anyway, so it's just gonna. So no way is making Bayern Munich worse. So
Yeah,
they're only going to be better than what they
and
were last year.
yeah, absolutely. And now, because there's gonna be 5 teams with 4 in the top tier, the 5th ranked team currently in the coefficients is Holland,
Oh,
the Dutch league. Um, the um, and so the Eredivisie are so low key that they don't even have a table on ESPN cricket, ESPN
Google does.
C. So looking at Google, PSV top of the table,
Yeah,
AZ Alkmaar and
don't have
20
them.
all having perfect starts to the season. Feyenoord
Mm.
have played 5 games, 3-2. Ajax all the way down in 12th, only the one win.
Oh,
So they're playing
highs.
terribly at the moment.
Yeah.
But once again, this is early doors. You can't say for certain who's gonna win or lose yet. But yeah,
So yeah,
as you said, if the
Ajax. Yeah.
coefficient sticks, this will be the Dutch league will get 4 teams
Well, they
in
will
the
too.
Champions League next season. Um, the final league we're going to look at is the second place league and the coefficients, which is Serie A.
Yeah.
Currently top of the table, Inter Milan, looking imperious. Four
Yeah.
wins, 4-0. Juventus just below them, 3-1, and AC Milan also got 3 wins, but they have a loss versus a
Yeah.
draw. Um, Then we've got teams like Lecce, Napoli, and Frosinone and Torino, Fiorentina. There's always teams there or thereabouts. I imagine Atalanta will at some point move up the table along with Roma and maybe even
Yeah, yeah,
Lazio.
yeah.
The
Those are teams that
uh,
always can turn it on.
yeah, and these guys are all currently they're all it's early days, really early days.
Yeah.
Only 4 games in,
Only 4 games
and
in.
team at the bottom of the league in theory can still make it all the way to winning the league. You've only lost 4 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Like mathematically, it's well within your opportunity.
Yeah. The bottom of
Um,
the Serie A is Empoli, who have had 4 games, 0 wins, and no goals scored. So um,
yeah,
that's a lot of turning around, and 12 goals against. So there's a bit of turning around there for them to be had. But as you say, in
yeah,
theory, perfectly possible. I mean, they did just get smashed by Roma 7-0, so um,
yeah,
that's half.
exactly,
That's over half their goals that are scored against them right there. So sometimes those things happen.
exactly. And next up, we are going to Mou-watch.
Mou-watch,
Incredible.
Mou-watch.
So, Romelu Lukaku scored his first goal for Roma in the weekend.
Yeah,
They did 7-0 demolition of Empoli, like you mentioned. Jose has pretty much fired digs at Manchester United, Chelsea, and Inter Milan.
yeah.
Clubs he may or may not have a history with. Who can say? By claiming that Romelu Lukaku is loved and wanted.
Yeah,
And even it's like I found him to be happy. Romelu leads to be happy, to feel loved and wanted. He arrived here and immediately felt the team needed a player like him. I think he's happy. He obviously likes to win, and that's his nature. Um, he also found time to take another dig at his former club, Inter, saying something like, at Inter, they have no reason to be angry because they won the Derby 5-1 and have an extraordinary team with many attackers. They must be happy for their former coach who needed Romelu. So, once again, Mourinho managing to. It's this weird thing where Mourinho ends up having issues with certain players, but then certain mercurial players just get along with Mourinho and become like they become his ride or dies. People like Jesse Lingard, Michael Essien, as we mentioned, Tammy
yeah,
Abrahams,
yeah,
Didier Drogba.
yeah. Exactly.
Like,
Seems.
especially if they happen to either have been born or brought up in Africa, or they're immigrated from Africa into Europe. Like Jose just seems to understand them at a level like other coaches don't.
Yeah, exactly. He really just seems to get them very well. So
Yeah. I mean, like, there's clearly like some mutual, like some of them. It's definitely like a genuine mutual affection. Like Michael Essien, yeah, Jose openly says like I'm Michael Essien's white dad, you know,
yeah,
and and Michael Essien's basically like, yeah, I love that man. What can I say?
yeah.
And like, yeah, he's taken him to every club. Like even when Essien was literally like, I'm being held together by chewing gum and duct tape. I don't think I can walk. And he's like, yeah, I'll sign you. It's good. You're
It's
good
fine. It's fine.
influence in the. Hmm?
He's like, yeah, it's fine. As you're saying, good influence in the dressing room. It'd be fine.
Yeah, and that's just how it works. But yeah,
Yeah,
Syria's early days. Like I know that it's easy to get downhearted about the our teams, but we have to remember it is early doors, and there'll be a
yeah,
few
yeah.
more games in, and we'll know
Exactly.
more in a few, probably before the January window, how teams are likely to end up.
Yeah, exactly. As the season goes on, the picture will get clearer and clearer. You say it's early season. sometimes things just don't go your way and you have a few unlucky losses, or in the case of United, you play some of the top teams, and that makes things look worse than they are. Uh, yeah, Chelsea's case, unluckiness with just not being able to quite put the ball in the back of the net, and we've got quality players. That changes, and suddenly we're winning games 2-3-0 or 2-3-1, and suddenly we're rocking back up the table again, and everything's back to being rosy and great. So give it a few more weeks, see how it goes. You say, not too long we'll be barreling along towards the Christmas New Year fixtures, and we get through that craziness, and things will start to be a bit more clearer come out the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, on that note, I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much for listening, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Catch you next time.
Well, that is the end. Thanks for listening all the way through.
If you liked what you heard, we have even more. NineSixFourTwo Discord and a Buy Me a Coffee.
Pretty sure it's Buy Me a Beer.
Oh yeah, buy me a beer on buymeacoffee.com.
In both these places, you can talk to us, and we may even listen, especially if you do buy a said beer or coffee. I might still be confused.
Yes, we're easily bribed. All links are in the show notes below.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
This is on YouTube.